All right, so my 2018 Chevy Tahoe, it's making kind of a racket. Not sure exactly what it is, whether it is the water pump, which is right here, or whether it's the belt tensioner. Could even be the alternator that's on this side, but I'll start it up so that you can hear it. Yeah, it's making all kinds of racket. So I'm gonna try out a stethoscope to see if I can't narrow down where it's coming from. All right, so it definitely sounds like it's on this side of the engine. Doesn't sound like it's on that side. When I probed it with the stethoscope, this is pretty noisy, but so is the belt tensioner. They're both pretty noisy. So not really sure which one it is, but I'm confident it's on this side. So I think the first step I'm going to do is take off the intake manifold so that I can get a little bit better access to everything. All right, so there's a spiral clamp up here, pretty easy to get off. Okay, and then you got these two clips. You just kind of press it and pull it. And then this side you're pressing down and pulling it. All right, should be able to just kind of work this back and forth. All right, just kind of bend that over, I think. All right. So now is also a great time to inspect your belt, see how your belt's doing. So to get this off, it's a 1/2-inch ratchet that, it's like the 1/2-inch ratchet square that you need to put right there. I'll show you. So right here, you can put a 1/2-inch ratchet in here and then pull it that way. Obviously, while you're in here, check all your belts. These belts, they look decent. They don't look bad. But we're going on a road trip, of course, and I don't want to be stuck in the middle of nowhere, Colorado, or middle of somewhere, Wyoming, and have this thing go out, because that would be awful. All right, so this is a 1/2-inch ratchet. Oh, that sucker's really on there. All right, so just loosening the pressure there. All right, so now spin this over, see. Oh, yeah, I don't think your pulley, I don't think you're supposed to be able to move it like that. So, and then let's hear how this, the idler. The idler actually sounds fine. This, all the racket must be coming from that. So, looks like we definitely need a new water pump. Typically the bearings go out in this, and then it's from there, it usually starts dripping, but I guess this one's not. So I'm gonna have to dive into this and see what it's gonna take to actually get a new one. So let me call around and see what I can find. All right, so that took a while. So called the local Chevy dealer. I think the water pump was like $200 and something. Called Napa, called AutoZone, called O'Reilly's. It was all super pricey. So I went on Amazon. You got them all the way down from 20 bucks all the way up to, you can get an AC Delco for 100 and a Gates for, I think, about 70. I probably would have gone with the AC Delco, but it couldn't be here within, a day. So went with the Gates. I've used Gates before, and it's definitely OEM plus, so I'm happy with that. So I'm just gonna throw this guy in here. It comes with a gasket, and it comes with the bolts that have a thread locker on them. So not too bad. It looks like it's all 10 millimeter bolts. comes with the pulley, so you can get one with the whole housing, which all this bolts into, but it's like a whole can of worms. If you like glance at all this, it goes from all the way from this side, the thermostat housing, underneath the alternator. No thanks. Because if I could just unbolt this and bolt that in, so it has these holes, and these holes line up to where the bolts should be. So hopefully all of that works as intended, I'm hoping. So this is what it should sound like. Pretty much nothing. So you get a new pulley. Everything, I think, looks pretty good. I mean, it looks exactly like the OEM. Just gonna bolt this in there and hopefully not have any more problems with it. So before I start, I'm going to use these clamps. They're basically hose clamps to stop all of the fluid from just draining out everywhere. So I'm probably gonna put the bigger one right here. Maybe come in from this way. And then you just squeeze these down. All right, so that one's hopefully locked down. And then I think, yeah, I'm gonna try to squeeze this one on top of it down. So we'll squeeze that one down. All right, got that squeezed down. And then it's gonna try to tie everything off that could be possibly going into or draining out. So right here it's coming in, right there it's going out. I'm trying to think what else could I lock off. I feel like this little breather right here has fluid in it too, so I'd rather do that as well. When you buy this kit, it comes with a bunch of different sizes, and I'll have a link for everything in the description so that you guys could use this. Let me see. So this coming off of the fill over there is right there. I'm trying to think what else could we have problems with. I'm not sure. Maybe the heater lines that are over here. I'm not sure that these are big enough for these heater lines, but I'd prefer not to lose a bunch of coolant if I can help it. All right, I think that is it. Hopefully, we shall see. Well, it looks like there is literally not enough room in here to use a typical impact, so I'm gonna have to use a ratchet. So that's fun. Well, we're starting to leak coolant now. Kind of hoping that it doesn't add up to be more than just what's in the housing there. A lot of white chalk in here, so I wonder if it has been leaking, just haven't noticed it. We got about 130,000 miles on this engine. This is the 6.2 liter, by the way. Oh, there we go. Now we're starting to definitely drain a bunch of fluid. So I've replaced the thermostat in this engine twice already. It feels like the last bolt. Let's see. Oh yeah, we're definitely draining a lot of fluid. I don't know how bad it would be if I didn't have these clamps on. So here's the gasket. So it's a metal gasket. The outside of that looks perfectly fine. All right, so it has a dowel pin locator, and you can see it right there at the top. It only goes on one way, and the gasket only goes on one way. That's good to know. I think I'm gonna put 2 bolts through just to hold the gasket in the right way. All right, so got one right there and one right there. Now I'm gonna hold this up. Hopefully get that all nice and lined up. So you're going into an aluminum housing. So you wanna make sure that you're being careful when you go in. And definitely don't want to tighten it down like all the way. Just want to kind of get everybody all started and snugged up. That gasket's probably still a little bit loose, so just go easy. All right, and then this, I would obviously do all the bolts by hand first. Get everything kind of like lined up. And then I would start tightening it down as I go around. Just be careful right when you're going in, because that gasket could just be, right here, could just be slightly misaligned. I'm kind of stopping right when I feel the Loctite on the threads kind of start to bite. All right, so now I'm just gonna go around. As soon as I feel it bottom out, then I'm gonna go to the next one, and the next one, and the next one. These bolts are kind of tight because of all the Loctite that's on all the thread locker that's on there. All right, so that one's on there. So now I'm just gonna kind of go and do every other one in. Probably go down, kind of do it in a little bit of a star pattern, I guess. All right, got everybody snugged up. Spinning that around. Sounds good, sounds quiet. So now I'm gonna go around and torque it down to whatever feels right. Now keep in mind, before you go crazy on this, you're still just bolting into aluminum. So aluminum tends to strip out pretty easily. Got all that nice and torqued down. I think we'll put the belt back on. Gotta line all this back up, of course, which is gonna be like that. That's gonna be like that. And then that's gonna go over there. All right, I think that is, everybody's on there happy, I hope. Well, as soon as I start it up, if it's close, it'll lock itself in. So let's move this back. All right, so that's where the reservoir is currently at. I was gonna take all these clamps off and see how much does that go down. And it will only go down if it was actually sealing. Yeah, I can hear it flowing. Yep, there it goes. So we were saving something by having these clamps. So I also have these clamps over here on the heater core. Let's see if I can't bend these out of the way to get them out of the heater core. It's down here. All right. So you're definitely going to have to put more coolant in, but hopefully not as much. So another thing you could do while you're here, if you wanted, you could clean out the throttle body. If you have a little bit of a rough idle, it could be the carbon buildup around this. So just double checking everything. Everything looks good. And I think I'll put everything back on now. Let's see. All right, so put this down, push the boot on, and then get my screwdriver back out. Get this all nice and lined up. So if you're pretty close on the coolant, you might be able to just put a little bit of distilled water in there. Otherwise, you're gonna have to put a lot more. So these clips right here, you just have to push them back on, and then they automatically just click, if that helps. Like that. All right, so that's most of the job done. I think having these, you just use them for a whole bunch of different things. They're good to just have in your toolbox. You could probably also use vice grips with maybe clamping the vice grips on some wood around a hose if you didn't want to buy these, but these are pretty cheap. All right, so we're gonna fire it up. Probably definitely gonna have a low coolant light, but put the microphone down in here so we can hear how it sounds. Wow, that sounds way better. So there's the new pump just doing its thing. So that was a pretty simple install. Like the bare minimum tools you need is a screwdriver and a 10mm socket. Ideal tools is hose clamps and all that stuff. So we definitely need to put a little bit more coolant in now. Otherwise, this is that worked out pretty well. Yeah, sounds way better now. So what I was noticing as I got off the freeway, I noticed like a wow, and I was like, is that car next to me? Is that me? So I turned off the fans, like the air conditioner on the inside. I turned all that off and then drove with the windows down. And then I was like, man, is that a wheel bearing? So then what I did was I put it in neutral and then I hit the gas, and then it was relative to the engine. So then I knew it was part of the rotating assembly on the engine, and then narrowed it down with the stethoscope. And then from there, here we go. So, all right, so before we really start driving it, got to refill it up, because this has the all aluminum Corvette blah 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 engine, which probably is aluminum heads, aluminum block, all that. So definitely doesn't like to be overheated. So you can get ready to use, or you can get concentrate. Concentrate means you have to put distilled water into it. I think you get a better value there, but we are on a time crunch, so we're going to do this and try to go ahead and spill it everywhere. So there is a fill line on the side right here. And it looks like it's going to take most of this gallon. I think I never really refilled it after I did the thermostat, which I probably should have, but... All right, so we're right at the line. Right there, it says fill when cold. So the next thing I would do is I would double check it after you've driven it around, because there might still be like an air bubble in the system, but it's just as simple as that. So I hope this helped you guys out. Let me know if it helped you down in the comments. If you had any other tips or tricks, I'll let you know if this Gates lasts just as long. I'll also have a link in the description for everything I use. I'll have a link for the Gates, and I'll have a link for the AT Delco when it comes back in stock. But hope this helps you out. I feel like they were saying that the 5.3 and the 6.2 is the same water pump, but let me know if this helped you guys out.